Everyone, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to this week's Forex Focus. So I'm going to start off by apologizing for all of the background sound that you're probably hearing. I'm on my sort of like transiting moments between the US and Abu Dhabi. So at the moment I'm in an airport and I didn't have time to get this out to you before, but I don't want to kind of leave you with nothing. So I thought better I sort of like fire up the laptop and get this video out to you just so that you've got an idea of what's sort of heading your way for the week ahead as opposed to delaying it and then potentially missing the moves if I was to put this out tomorrow. So I hope that's okay for everybody. As I said, I know the sound is going to be absolutely horrendous as I'm doing this through my AirPods at the moment. But anyway, with all of that being said, let me waste no more of your time. Let's jump straight over to the markets. So if we start off by taking a look at the Aussie dollar, in fact, before we talk about the pairs individually, let's talk about the US dollar as a whole. So this week was a bit of a weird week in that we got some data that came out that seemingly should have been sort of like good for the dollar. Apart from at the end of the week where retail sales came out and it was obviously a lot, it was lower than expecting, was in fact negative. But the inflationary numbers that came out a little bit higher sort of point to the fact that the Federal Reserve are not going to be cutting quite as aggressively as everybody sort of thought. And some analysts out there are saying actually they've almost overdone it already with what they've currently done. So it points to the fact that interest rates in the US are going to remain a little bit higher for longer, which should really be positive for the dollar. As I said, at the end of the week, obviously retail sales came out. That was negative, which would be negative for the dollar. But what we've seen across the board is actually the US dollar has lost ground. Now, it's not such a bad thing from our perspective because we were waiting for a pullback to some key levels. Last week we said, oh, if the market doesn't get to those levels, then let's look for some opportunities to kind of take some short-term tactical buys of the dollar, so short some of these pairs. But the fact that that hasn't played out is absolutely fine because it's pulling back to our more strategic levels that we want to sell from anyway. So with that, all that being said, let's now jump into the chart. So the Aussie dollar here, as you can see, pulled back to a previous level, a very, very big level of support here, which could become resistance. And then in the background, I've got a second level above 0.6438. So the way that we play these is that we take an initial sell from this level here. Our target would be two times the ATR, which is 58, call that 60 pips, 120 pips from this level here, which essentially brings you down towards, let's bring this in here, let's go and move that. So 120 pips down towards like this area here. So you can see that with the way that we play these, the market doesn't have to do a lot in order for us to be able to take profits, which is fantastic. But if it doesn't sell off from here, then our next level that we would sell from would be the other one up there. Now, the way that you would do that would mean that you wouldn't be carrying a stop loss, not a 2 ATR stop loss in this first position, unless of course you wanted to, and you wanted to play both of these positions separately. But actually, the way that I would do is I'd have the first position in here, second position in here, and then a stop loss over and above over there, which does mean that this first position will take a greater loss unless, of course, you want to adjust your position size to make sure that this would be sort of like a short-term win, but a smaller win. And then if it falls back to here, then you get into the bigger position, which is absolutely fine too. But if you don't do that, then this first position would carry a bigger loss than the second position here. But the flip side to that, of course, is that it is far more likely that you're going to be able to come out of this with a profit playing this strategically the way that I've just said, as opposed to trying to play them individually. Because how many times have we been in that situation where you take a trade, it stops you out, and then it goes in the direction that you were trading anyway. And I think that even though it looks like the dollar may be taking on some heat in the coming months, these still are big levels that you have to look at, you have to pay attention to. So that's what I'll be looking to do in the Aussie dollar. The euro dollar, similar sort of thing, and it's the same across the board. What I would say is that when you're looking to take these positions, what you want to do sometimes is really sort of look to see, we're trading currency pairs, so you want to match a strong currency with a weak currency. And taking all of that into account, if we look at all of the other opportunities that we're going to talk about in this video here, you'll see that the euro really is the only one that hasn't taken the dollar to sort of like new lows against it, if you like, or that pair hasn't gone to new highs. All of the rest this week, like the Aussie dollar and pound dollar, etc., they've at least sort of like broken out to new highs, which is taking the dollar to new lows against that currency. The euro hasn't done that. So from that perspective, that's a bit of a it's like a negative sign for the euro, which might imply, of course, that this is going to be the better trade to take. The only thing you have to worry about here, or not worry, think about, is the fact that at the moment there are some talks going on to do with the war in Ukraine and Russia. And if that does come to an end, then that is going to be positive for the euro, which would then see this and then kick up to there. So there is that little bit of a event risk in there sits in the background. So the way that we play this is exactly the same. So sell from this level here, session sell from that level there. ATR is your profit target. So 2 ATR, 80 pips, 160 would then bring you down towards where the first one will get you down towards this sort of area over here. And then if we go to the second one, if the second one were to kick in, that gets you on sort of at this area there. And what would happen was that that first position would more or less be at break even. The second position would take you in at a profit. So you'd have a net profit across both of those positions there. We looked at the pound dollar. So the pound dollar has already taken you in on the first position there, but it did that a couple of weeks ago anyway. It's now pulling back to the second area here. If it gets to that second area, then I'll be looking to initiate an immediate sell from that position because what traders tend to do is they tend to like overestimate things, and once the market starts moving in a certain direction, they're going to move. They think it'll move forever, and whilst it's very possible, I think the reality is that if we look at the overall trend here, even if this is a turning point, it's not going to move in just one direction. It's going to have pullbacks, and it's in those pullbacks at these significant levels is where we're able to get in there and make a profit. If we take a look at the New Zealand dollar, the New Zealand dollar also broke out just to a new high on the back of the retail sales data last week. It isn't quite in an area where we would want to sell from, but it's the same area that we've been looking at for the past few weeks. So an initial sell from 0.5770, and then a second sell up here at 0.5853. We aren't there yet, so there isn't too much to talk about at the moment. The dollar CAD has broken through this level. You remember over the past few weeks, I said if it breaks there, I'm fully expecting it to come down towards this previous level here, which is the big level of support. Now, what I would say with this, if you're not already in this, I wouldn't look to initiate a position out. I would actually wait because I think looking at this momentum over here, looking at this gap, the way the market's broken through that level, that really this would be a very, very good strategic buy, even if some of the tides do turn. So I wouldn't actually get in just now because I think there's actually a very good opportunity the market move down to this level. Whereas with some of the others, it's kind of like a little bit hit and miss, which is why you look to take both of the positions. But this one here, I think there's a very good chance that it breaks down here. And even if it doesn't, you will have been in on the other opportunities in any case. Right? So you will still be able to play the dollar strength when it comes into the market. The dollar strength is playing with that same sort of congestion area now. What I would say is you could take a buy from this area pretty much immediately where you are. If you're feeling a little bit more conservative, I think there's a lot of upside here in this particular pair. But what you could do is you could wait for this high at 0.9198 to be broken. That's if you're not aggressive. If you're a bit more of an aggressive trader, this is a good area to look for a buy from. And then finally, we have the dollar yen. So the dollar yen is reacting to a previous level of look here, previous level of resistance, which is acting as support. It reacted to there last week. It then met resistance at this downward sloping trend line. So what I'm looking for here is a close above this trend line. A close above 154.69. And if we get that, then I'll be looking to get in there as a buyer of the dollar yen. Okay. So that wraps it up for this week's Forex Focus. I hope this helps you all. As I said, I apologize that the sound is probably going to be absolutely horrific, but at least you get the idea of what it is that we're looking for. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the comments below the video. Okay, take care now, and thank you so much for watching.